everybody. Welcome to the City Girls Pod. And this is the show where we are talking about Sex in the City. And we are almost finished season 4, which is wild and crazy. We're doing today Sex in the City season 4, episodes 13, 14, and 15. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Jax is here.
Hello.
And we have a special guest. This is so exciting. Hallmarkies podcast co-host extraordinaire and host of all of her own amazing podcasts and everything else she's doing. We have Bree here with us.
Hello. Thank you, you two, for letting me be here today with you.
We're so excited. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are, so I'm amazed that you found time to watch 3 episodes. Let alone come on the podcast.
I can talk Sex in the City all day, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So have you been a fan of the show for a while? I mean,
see, I watched it. Yeah, like I watched it for the first time last year, I think.
Okay.
And it was one of, like, I'm a terrible show watcher, y'all. Like, I've been watching like the Twilight Zone for like 5 years now, and there's only like how many seasons? But this is the first show that I like could not stop watching. And before I knew it, I was like, 6 seasons and it's over. Yeah, I love it.
So Bree, we gotta ask, which of the girls are you?
I knew y'all were gonna ask me this, and I thought about this long and hard yesterday. I think there's a little bit of each one of them in me. Like, it's so hard to pick. So,
and they're so different. So it's nice to be a collection of all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we decided that Jax is Carrie and I'm Charlotte.
Okay.
So that leaves Samantha and Miranda.
Honestly, I think Samantha and Miranda are like my 2 faves. So I'm not even mad about it.
Yes. And if people don't know, I mean, they should listen to our monthly romance reading recaps that we do. But tell us a little bit about your podcast and what you do.
So I co-host the Categorically Romance podcast with my friend Erin, and really here in the States, if you think category romance, you're talking of Harlequin. So we just have a romance novel podcast where we're like talking about books all the time.
I love it.
So much fun.
Yeah, so good. All right. Well, let's start with episode 13, season 4, episode 13, The Good Fight. Overall, Jax, what did you think of this episode?
Yeah, so I started to, like Bree was saying, how she was like, are these the breakup episodes? I started to get nervous watching this one, thinking, what's going to happen? And, you know, what I do love about these is, one, the absence of Big, who I do like, but I don't need any of that tomfoolery when we're dealing with Carrie being in a relationship. And I do think that the girls are having fun together, despite the fact that they all are having a lot of pretty serious life things going on in each of their own scenarios. I do think that when they get together, we're still having a lot of fun with the core 4. So I thought it was a fun episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one thing I wondered is, why didn't they just move the boxes into the empty apartment? I mean, because they weren't working on the floors. So why didn't they just?
He needed quick access. Quick access, Rachel. He needed it right there. Okay.
But I mean, it's technically his apartment at this point, right? He owns it.
Yeah, he buys like hers and the one next door, right?
So he technically could continue on with the renovation if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, Bree, what did you overall think of this one?
For me personally, I think season 4 is my favorite season.
Yeah.
I think it's the season where we really get to see the core 4 navigate like friendship and like life stuff as women in their 30s. And the guy characters start to feel more real and like people, rather than just like extensions of whatever point they're trying to make, like we've seen
Yeah.
in previous seasons. Yeah, that episode, the first episode, was really tough. Like Charlotte, my heart goes out to Charlotte, but I also get Trey's perspective. So yeah, these 3 episodes that we have are really interesting. I think I'm excited to hear what y'all think about them.
Yeah. What do we, I mean, maybe I'm the one that should answer this because I'm the only single one of this group, but the secret single behavior.
I love that.
I mean, I think we all have that. I think that I was like, okay, Carrie, your secret single behavior is standing up and eating saltines with grape jelly on them in the kitchen. Mine is a lot more disgusting, and I won't even tell you. Like, I'm just I'm a gross trash human when I'm alone. Sorry. But
It reminded her eating the grape jelly. It reminded me of there's an old gag where they're starting on the diet where, it's just, they start out like eating one bowl of bran cereal and then for lunch, like a piece of cooked chicken. And then by the end, they're eating cheesecake out of the fridge. Just like devolves. When you starve yourself, you end up eating cheesecake out of the fridge.
Yeah.
it never goes well. Everything in moderation. You can't just take it all out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm a pretty open book, so I don't think I really have that much secret single behavior, but I also thankfully live alone. If I had to live with somebody, then those behaviors would probably become more apparent. I can tell you one thing is that I hate doing my laundry, and so it just piles up this huge, both the in and out pile, the clean and dirty pile. It's bad, and I'm just digging through it, because like nobody's here, no one sees it, who cares? So I guess that's one of my secret single behaviors.
I feel like that's one of my secret singles, and I'm married, but like I will do laundry and fold it. Like I have a basket right now of folded clothes that will probably sit there for another week. I just don't like putting them away. Don't like that.
That's right.
You guys are gross. Like I'm like, this is fine. I'm like, wow, you guys, I feel just
Well, I mean, I also do have my piles, which is bad. But again, I don't live with anybody else, so who cares? Nobody else sees my piles.
I don't know. I feel like I don't really do anything different.
Not like a hoarder
now
but...
than I did before. Like if I'm drinking a Coke and I burp really loudly, my husband just like, whatever. Right? Like I can't help it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's how you have relationship goals. I mean, that's the dream, right?
Like, sorry. But I do think these episodes where Carrie and Aiden lived together, I feel like y'all felt like this is some of the most realness that we've gotten with Carrie? Because like she is annoyed and she's like, shut up, just shut up. I'm like, oh, she's frustrated.
Well, and also, so Samantha claims she doesn't have any secret single behavior, that she can do anything in front of men. I call shenanigans on that. I think there's a lot of things that she wouldn't do in front of men.
Like have feelings.
Like have feelings. Like cry. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So Charlotte and Trey, are really struggling. Their apartment is cluttered with emotional stuff. She has emotional piles. And so Trey's trying to kind of lighten the mood. He gets her producer tickets, which at the time was like the big thing on Broadway. I mean, and that would win me. That would win serious points for me.
Rachel's like, you don't have a baby, fine. Just give me all the Broadway shows that my heart could desire.
You got me tickets for Hamilton? That's great. We're good.
But for Charlotte York, no.
Jaded New Yorker. But we also learn that Samantha speaks German. That was kind of funny. Yeah, and so she is getting more and more attached to Richard, but he is not invested in the relationship. I mean, he enjoys it, but it's not a relationship to him. And he thinks that's what she wants, which is, in fairness to him, that's what she said she wants. So
Yeah.
a little bit tricky. I don't know, Bree, what do you think of Richard?
Richard kind of feels like holding a mirror up to Samantha.
Yeah.
Like he's exactly what she should want, right? Like she doesn't want any attachments and feelings, but for the first time, she's like really experiencing that. And then he has that scene when she comes out of the bathroom and he's like, "You'll never change." And it's like, but she did change. But I don't know. He feels very reflective of the Samantha that we've come to know and love up to this point.
Yeah.
It's like she met her match.
Well, I think that we know that she's changed, but she hasn't told him that. And like their interactions, like we see a side of her because we see her with the three girls, three other girls. He doesn't see that. So he doesn't probably know. I mean, he's definitely not somebody I would be interested in it, but I think in his defense, I kind of understand why he's thinking the way that he is by her behavior. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Jax?
Yeah, I think that's a really astute comment, Bree, about it being so reflective. I mean, I mentioned in the last episode, I am not a Richard fan, but I'm a Samantha fan because she's so lovable. But yeah, I think that it's interesting and makes me think about her attachment style, because I always thought that she was so avoidant, but it's like as soon as someone is being avoidant right back to her, it seems like she's getting kind of anxious and needy. So I would just love to do a deep dive for my armchair psychologist perspective and just get to know more about Samantha, how she became the way that she is.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's very healthy to always keep all of your romantic partners at arm's length. It just doesn't seem like that is a mentally very healthy space to be in. That she is most of the time.
Yeah, especially because I think what's extra troubling about it is if monogamy really isn't for you, that's okay, just as long as you're ethically non-monogamous. But also, I think most people want to, I know people that are not monogamous that are still really good friends with the people that they're lovers with, or that like, so it is so sad because it's so transactional for Samantha. Yeah. She doesn't even want to be with the same person twice usually.
Yeah, that's right. So Miranda is worried about being with a partner as she's pregnant. And the whole thing was really, where do you think the dimples come from? That made me laugh.
It's awful.
But this guy, Walker Lewis, I thought he was pretty dreamy. He was handsome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He is Robert John Burke, and he is still to this day working actor. He's on Law and Order SVU, a bunch of episodes. He's on, let's see here, Person of Interest, Army Wives, Gossip Girl, Rescue Me. So yeah, he's keeping busy.
Yeah.
Keeping busy.
These actors tend to do pretty well, Rachel. I've always been impressed when you look them up. Like all the ones who are like, oh, they were good. And it's like, oh, they're still working.
Yeah. Yes. And so, yeah, they had a, remember we even got Jim Gaffigan the other day. That was funny.
A fun surprise.
Yeah. And so Carrie and Aiden get in a fight. She loses it when Pete eats her shoe. And I mean, he is very brave when he says we can make room if we clean your closet.
The look of disdain that she gives him.
Like, are you kidding me?
But again, you made like such a good point. Like there's an entirely empty apartment next door. Even if you don't put it on the floor per se, like I'm sure it has closet space.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Even if you put it in the kitchen or whatever, no one's living there. Who cares? I mean, I guess at this point, Mrs. Cohen hadn't left the apartment yet at this very beginning of the episode. But that was, I thought, absolutely hilarious, Mrs. Cohen, and her like tiny steps.
Tell your boy I'm not leaving for 30 days.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I love her.
She was so funny. That's Francine Beers is her name. She was really funny. It reminded me of in the Sing movies, I think she's an alligator, the like the secretary in Sing movies.
Yeah.
We got to close down the play. Like whatever.
Then Carrie's like, she couldn't move any slower. And the camera just pans to her, like taking these small steps. Like
it would seriously take her the whole day to walk a block.
Right.
It was so funny.
But I think when you like watch, this was my second time watching that episode, and I was like, okay, I didn't really pick up on a lot of things the first watch. I feel like the boxes and that whole argument, and then literally the empty apartment next door, really kind of begins to show you like Carrie doesn't really want this, you know? Like when you think of renovation, you want to like fix something and make it new and beautiful. And she like you said, there's an empty apartment next door where he could put his stuff. But when I was watching it yesterday, I was like, she does not want all of this. And this all feels very kind of symbolic of like boxes everywhere. She's uncomfortable, like, and then empty space next door where it could all go to just make things easier. And yeah, just it feels like I have this good guy, but like I don't know if I want this.
Which you got to feel for Aiden, because he had moved on, and then she comes back and says, I love you, I want to be together. And then she's doing this like mere months later. It's a lot.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, is it for Carrie? Like, I don't want his lasting image of me to be like, I was a horrible person. And so I have to come back and give it another shot.
Ooh, actually, I think that's a really good point, Bree, because think about with Natasha, how even someone who wasn't her lover, wasn't even a friend of hers, was not even really an acquaintance. She needs Natasha to like think that she's a good person or not a bad person.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point, that there could be more that could be more the case than her actually wanting to have a real relationship with him again.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, she is kind of narcissistic like that. So, I mean, I guess I don't know what she wants. I guess she wants a committed, it's almost like she wants to be engaged and like never get married.
I just think she wants big. I think she knows if I marry this guy, that is it for me and big. That's why I feel like Aiden really didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. So then we have Trey and Charlotte. We also have that Carrie goes to work at Starbucks, and she says how many at Starbucks were mid-fight like myself. I don't drink coffee, so I haven't spent that much time at Starbucks, but have either of you mid-fight at Starbucks?
No.
Not mid-fight, but as someone who has done a lot of random jobs all around New York, like, oh, I'm babysitting and then have to go to rehearsal and then personal assisting and then doing this, I would always need some place to go in between. So yeah, Starbucks became my
your go-to.
It was always a place I could just duck into and get like an ice water and one of their protein boxes and just
I love that New York energy. I love it.
So we don't need to warn Alex that if you're at Starbucks, it's
no, that I just like, if I want alone time, we live in a 1-bedroom, I just like go in the bathroom for like hours.
Yeah. when I was serving my mission for my church, you got assigned a companion, and some of the assignments are better than others. Some of them are better fits than others. And yeah, the bathroom became a very welcome place. She just needed a break. So I get that.
Do they do, sorry, I know this is a quick aside, but do they like do surveys or try and put you with people that they think would be a good fit? No.
Okay. No, I mean, they just pray about it. And hope for the best. As I've said many times, where God has a sense of humor.
Yeah. God's like, I'm going to give you an extra little test.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I was some kind of dream, because I wasn't. But anyway, it was challenging sometimes because sometimes I've heard people say that, oh, I'd way rather live with a woman than live with a man. And I can correctly state that it is not necessarily better.
The truth. Yeah.
To live with a woman. But I had many wonderful experiences as well. But you just need a break sometimes from people. That Miranda watches infomercials and puts on the mask for her nails, and that was funny. I have watched more. I would say more my guilty pleasure than infomercials is more like QVC. I've rarely ordered anything, but I have to say the few things I have ordered on QVC have been super quality and really great. Yeah, I've had great experiences. I got this little like turntable thing for my makeup.
Okay.
And I liked it so much I bought a second one. So I have two in my bathroom that I got from QVC.
I think that was my fear. My mom would always be like, you should order from QVC. And I'm like, what if it's bad quality? No, thanks.
Yeah.
But now I know.
I'm pretty picky about, I mean, I literally have only ordered like 2-3 things from QVC in my life. But I have had good experiences with it. Particularly that makeup thing was really nice. And I think they are pretty picky about what they put out there at QVC, but I don't know. Have either of you ever bought anything from an infomercial?
No.
I did the Candace Cameron Bray Dr. Lancer skin set from QVC.
Oh,
it was great.
Ooh, and what about you, Bree?
No, I was always really close back in the days of CDs. They would do like these like 5-minute long, buy this whole collection of Motown. And I'd be like, yeah, that sounds so good. And then I would just like go to the CD store, the local CD store, and they'd have it. And I'm like, I'll just get it from here.
I remember those. If you want to watch a really good show that just came on this year, it's called, it's on the show, I think Showtime. It's called Love That For You with Vanessa Bayer. And she plays this woman who she was in the hospital a lot as a kid. She had cancer, and she, as a kid, leukemia, and she just really became a fan of QVC, this QVC fake show, whatever, and of home shopping. And so that was her dream. So she gets this job working in the home shopping place and station, and she's amazing at it and perfect, and you would totally buy anything from her. And they're going to fire her on her first date because she kind of messes up a little bit. So she tells them that she has cancer, and they're all like, we can't fire somebody who has cancer. And so she starts with this lie, and it was so good. Molly Shannon's in it. She's like the queen lady of the shopping network, and obviously this lie just starts to kind of get bigger and bigger and bigger. I said in my review, I thought it was the Ted Lasso of home shopping shows.
Wow.
It's so warm-hearted and sweet and really good. It's not Hallmark friendly. It's got some profanity and things like that. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. So cheap, a little plug there.
I love that Miranda's the one that loves infomercials.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That is funny. Some of them you're just like, who even thought of this?
Yeah.
Like, who came up with the idea of the talking fish? That's just crazy.
My aunt ordered one of those, the one that sings. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
So anyway, Trey buys Charlotte a cardboard baby as a joke. And she says they sold it in the novelty store. And she is super offended by this. And it doesn't think it's funny because she's grieving, not having a baby. And I don't know. What do you think about that, Jax? Did she overreact?
I think what it really illuminates is that they are just completely on different pages. I think that I understand why it's so sensitive for Charlotte, but it's a different situation for Trey. And I think if he had a different partner, he could have brought that home and been like, oh my gosh, babe, this is hilarious. Thank you. And also Trey, if Charlotte had a different partner, she would have someone who was willing to discuss it openly with her and be really sensitive to all of her needs and wants. So I think it just is like, oh, these two were not a match, even though they seem perfect on paper.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Why do you think they got it so wrong, Trey and Charlotte? Bree, what do you think? Because they were in love at the very beginning, it seemed like.
I don't know. Charlotte just has this 1950s housewife, homemaker image that she really wants for her life, which, I mean, kudos to her. If that's what you want, then great. And Trey comes along and it looks like that's within her reach.
Mm-hmm.
But then this infertility is make or break for any relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You have some relationships where the man especially just gets to this point where it's like, I don't want to see you keep putting yourself through this. But as a woman, it's like, I don't know, almost programmed, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And this is what I want for my life. So I think, like Jack said, like, it was the deal breaker. It was the thing that, they both had to realize, like, we are never going to be on the same page on this topic. Like, Trey's ready to move on. Hey, I still love you. You can't get pregnant. I'm fine. But Charlotte really wants that. So it's time to just cut ways.
Weird for Trey is that Charlotte, on the one hand, yes, wants that 1950s marriage, but then she's also like fairly progressive in wanting a active sexual relationship and not wanting that kind of, like the 1950s, the beds are separated kind of a thing like that you have. And so on one hand, she's very traditional. On one hand, she isn't. And balancing that would kind of, I think, lead to failed jokes like this, like trying to, he tries to get her the tickets for the producers. He tries to cheer her up in different ways. And so that mixture of the different sides of Charlotte, I think, might be kind of confusing for someone like Trey.
Yeah, I agree.
When
she says, like, as a little girl, I would wear my mom's pearls and read that magazine, and then at the end, he still shows up. I'm like, because he knows it's all about the image for Charlotte.
Yeah. Which is frustrating. We have Richard and Samantha having sexy swimming behavior. And then he asks her to dance with him. And that was I thought, sweet. That was probably peak Richard. It was a nice moment.
It was nice, but it was awkward because Samantha was like, let me put my hand down here. And he's like, let me move it up here. Like, it was a little awkward for Samantha.
Well,
not
he
her.
says, I'm your boss. It's an order. So he does seem to kind of get it. But then like later on in the third episode we'll talk about, he seems to not totally get it and think that, oh, it's just transactional. I don't know. What do you think, Jax?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm so blinded by the fact that I just really don't care for Richard that everything he does, I'm like, move on. Like it's just so. I feel like he's got a lot of the qualities that Big has that I don't like, but none of the redeeming qualities that make me be like, darn, Big is really charismatic. You know, Richard doesn't have that for me. He doesn't have that hold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's played by James Remar, who is also a working actor. He's on Black Lightning, Magnum PI, NCIS Los Angeles. So he's getting busy. State of Affairs. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It would be hard to be in a relationship with Samantha, I think. I mean, there are no relationships. So I don't know what you just feel like you're throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something she'll like it. I mean, she doesn't like a relationship where they talk too much because she just had that in Maria, but she doesn't want this one with Richard. I don't know. It's an interesting situation. Yeah. I did laugh when Carrie, the ultimate for Carrie seems to be the fact that Aiden brought a plant into the house.
Everything dies that comes in her house.
And I have to just show you all this. I have successfully
hello, yes,
this plant alive.
Congratulations.
Barely. It's hanging on. But I have the biggest black thumb there's known to man. I mean, I'm so happy that it has like sprouted new. See on top?
Yeah.
Very exciting to me.
I think that's going to stick around for a while.
I hope so. My dream is that it'll still be around next Christmas. This next Christmas. That'd be like an amazing goal.
Will. Yeah, it will.
But I am not good with plants. I liked the fashion in this episode with Carrie with this top with blue top. It was like a turquoise blue that I liked with this big heart necklace. I love long necklaces. Mm-hmm. They're my favorite. And then Miranda had on this jean dress. Miranda had on this jean shirt dress with this buckle, this brass kind of buckle. I thought it looked really good on her. So that was a good moment. But then Carrie is also just like, seems so upset to me about the fact that Aiden has Rogaine. I'm like,
also like, yay, great. He's like, oh.
So she says to Aiden that she needs 1 hour. But the thing about this that's confusing to me is, doesn't Carrie work from home?
Yeah, technically.
They were acting like, oh, she comes home from the office every day and then needs an hour break. I thought that she worked from home.
Yeah, I think it's just the annoyance of like, I'm so used to living by myself. And I think she even says like, I've never lived with a man before. So like, regardless of where I'm coming from, now she has to walk in and he's like, hey, where you been? Who you talk to? What'd you do? And she's just like annoyed by it. It's a new thing for her. So I think it was just, I need an hour. Give me an hour to come home. Don't say nothing to me. And then quickly she like crawls on the couch with him. So
that is a demand that only somebody without children could make.
Exactly.
That is a secret single behavior.
Yes. Going back to the plant. I don't want anything that I have to take care of in my house. Like Carrie just wants to be responsible for Carrie. I want to come home. I don't really want to talk to anybody. Let me decompress.
Well, and Bree, that's a good point because Carrie does just want to be responsible for Carrie. And it's like, she doesn't even really have room to really let a true partner in. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's not okay to take some time for yourself when you get home. And I'm very outgoing, but I'm very introverted to recharge. So like, I need a lot of alone time and quiet time. And I think it's great to communicate that to your partner, but it's like, maybe just enjoy this little space of time when he's first moved in, and then you can work out all those kinks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did feel a little hopeful, even though I know we can't be, when she does, like you said, get on the couch with him. And she says that line about how, that's the thing about needs, like once they're met, we don't need them anymore. And then you see them like cuddling together. And I thought, oh, darn, this isn't going to go well, but it makes me happy now.
It just makes you think of those rom-coms where Aiden is the obvious choice. Like he is the person she should be with. But in the back of your mind, there's 2 seasons left. Aiden's not going to stick around very long.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, Bree, what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I'd say a 7.
Yeah. What do you think, Jax?
Yeah, I would say maybe like a 7.5. I think the secret single behavior to me is pretty iconic and fun, but there is a lot of the heavier stuff going on here, which, pulls it down for me a little.
You give it 7 cardboard babies.
That's what I was going to say. Poor Trey.
All right.
Hey, this is David from the Piecing It Together podcast, a podcast about movies and the movies that inspire them. For over 4 years, each week, a guest and I take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies we think were either an influence or connect in some other way. It's a fun, unique way to discuss films that leads to a great list of other movies to check out that either explore the same themes and ideas or maybe utilize similar filmmaking techniques. Including special episodes in our side series that twist the format, we've done over 200 episodes, so there's bound to be one on a film you've been thinking about and want to dig deeper into. So check us out on all the major podcasting apps and at piecingpod.com.
So the next episode is called All That Glitters. And basically this is Carrie going to clubbing a lot here. And she meets her new gay friend, Spencer, Oliver Spencer, and Stanford is very jealous.
I love Stanford. Like
Stanford
he deserved so much better
Yeah.
than what he got in this show.
I agree. And especially in Just Like That, which was a tough situation because he'd passed away, but it was such a bummer that they I just wish they had had an actual funeral and an actual, like him just leaving to Japan was not my favorite choice. That was a bummer. But anyway, so we have that she says on any given night in New York, there's a million things to do. But one of the worst things is to trying to pick which one to do. And as our resident New Yorker, you agree with that, Jax?
I love New York and I love going out and I love staying in. Like, I don't really get FOMO, but I think Carrie is interesting because I think she's someone who definitely does get FOMO.
Mhm.
And it's hard to watch that because show is like, what's next? Where are we going next? What's happening?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And I think also as somebody who works from home, like sometimes you need to leave the house. And that was hard about the pandemic. It was like, you can't leave. I'm stuck in this house. That you want to go and do stuff. And it's an interesting thing that since I started my goal of going to the theater a lot, is that once you just have it kind of scheduled in, it's amazing how much you can actually do. There's so much of your time that you spend just kind of not doing anything productive or really that like edifying. And sometimes you need the break, and I get that, but I don't know. I just think once you actually sort of start scheduling in time, you can do a lot more than you think you can.
Yeah. I think I can't remember what exactly Oliver said, but when she meets Oliver, he says something along the lines of like, you're basically like, you're this dating columnist. And when I watched it again, watching it for the second time, I was like, to me, that's why she had to be out and about. She's
Oh yeah, that's true.
like this voice that like New York survival guide, basically. So to me, it's like she has kind of chosen this lifestyle because it complements her work life so well. And of course, Aiden is just like, I want to order in a bucket of KFC. Like he's ready to just chill at home, but like that's not really Carrie's thing. So I don't know. I think that's it. I would think eventually that would get tiring, but also like if it helps you make money, I can understand why you're constantly on the go.
Yeah. Well, and she goes to this gay club called Trade,
Which
and
is the key.
yeah, the key. That's right. And they make a joke that I'm sure they don't have a ladies' room at the Trade because it's a gay nightclub, but I'm sure by law they have to have it. They have to have a ladies' room.
You know, there was some problematic elements to this. I was like, really? When you walk in, she's not the only woman there, and there's no girls' bathroom. Like, come on.
Also, like, I know this was a different time, and like, yes, a lot of gay bars some are predominantly men, some predominantly women, but like, I think that, I mean, especially now, like with lots of people who are non-binary, or you can use, I guess I was just like, I've never been to a gay bar where there was only men or only women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I was like, come on now.
I'm pretty sure that it's like a law. I think you have to have both.
Everybody should be able to use the restroom.
Pretty sure.
Samantha's just like, just checking out the scene, guys.
Yeah. Which is like really creepy, actually, when you think about it. Like it's uncomfortable, but you know, there's a different time.
Yeah, Rachel, it is, because it's not like they're strippers and that's what they're there for.
Right.
They're just trying to go potty. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for them. They did not subject themselves to be looked at like that.
Right.
It makes me so uncomfortable.
Well, and honestly, I don't know how men do that. Like, I need my stall. Like, I don't know how men do that.
Well, do you ever even get pee shy in your own stall? Like sometimes if I hear someone, I'm like, I can't go.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll just wait for this person to leave.
I couldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, then she also puts her wedding ring on necklace, and I don't know, she wants to kind of forget that she's engaged. I did think that Oliver Spencer was pretty flirty with her for a gay guy. I don't know. Like if I didn't know that it was a gay club, I would have thought he was interested in her. I
was waiting for the reveal that he was bi or gay at all. I thought he was very flirty, and I'm friends with a lot of gay men, and there's a difference in the kind of like flirty banter. And I thought that it was strange too, that he was like so upset when she was leaving the club. It was, I thought there was something about that wasn't quite hitting for me. And Stanford saw it too. He was like, are you hooking up with that guy? You know?
Yeah.
And Oliver is played by Murray Bartlett, another working actor. He's in The Last of Us. He was in Physical, The White Lotus, Iron Fist, Nashville. Keep him busy. So, but Carrie is most excited when she finds out he's a shoe distributor.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't care. I like myself a bucket of chicken. The only thing I didn't like about that with Aiden was that he ate it on the bed. Gross. Don't do that. Don't eat on
right.
Yeah, that's disgusting. That's not some of my secret single behavior.
No.
Yeah.
Just personal preferences here. We don't eat chicken in the bed, okay?
Yeah. Gross. Don't eat anything that would get crumbs of any kind on the bed. I hate that. It's the worst. Just don't eat on the bed. So then we have Samantha getting a little ecstasy, and she tells Richard, I'm in love with you. And then he falls asleep.
Yeah. He doesn't say it back.
No, he does not. And he pretends like he didn't even hear it. So that is an interesting situation for Samantha. Then Stanford was great in this episode. You went to shirtless heaven without me. It reminds me of that club in a church. Remember that, Jax, that they went to? Yeah, that's really funny. Then they say that gay boyfriends are the loophole of monogamy. And I don't know. I feel like that whole sort of gay BFF is kind of a cliche from the 90s that hopefully I mean, in the sense of, obviously you can have friends that are gay, you should, but in the sense of like having this person that's like there for you all the time to like gab to and is like your personal therapist that you'd see in movies and shows, that we're moved hopefully beyond that.
Almost like they're an accessory.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels gross.
Yeah,
that's how I feel that with Stanford a lot of the time. I'm like, don't do him like that. He's so great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Bree and Rachel, like, I'm glad you guys brought that up, because I think that is this problematic thing, that we don't learn anything about the gay BFF life. They're just there to support, the leading lady. And it's like, they're not talking, the leading lady isn't talking to them about their sex life or their romantic life or their any kind of life. So I'm glad that trope is kind of gone.
Yeah. I'm like, where's my gay BFF that's there for my every whim? Talk about all my problems.
Just swoops in when they know I need to talk. Come on, Stanford deserves better.
So Trey and Charlotte have a real separation this time. And but the home and garden people, they think that they are the perfect couple. So they're coming to photograph the apartment. And so, like you said, Trey shows up for the picture of the perfect
What's
couple.
the guy that Charlotte's really close with that's kind of putting all
Anthony?
Anthony. Yeah.
I love Anthony though. Like, he is what Charlotte needs. He's like tough love. Like, he sees right through her crap.
And he coordinated their wedding. So maybe it's just something about this color of blue that was popular during this time, but I really liked this. The best fashion to me in the episode was Samantha wearing this bright blue suit coat and top, and then this yellow skirt. I thought it looked really cool. Very good.
Yeah, that blue is amazing.
Yeah. And she had a similar color blue in an outfit from last episode that we did, with an orange skirt and a blue top. And I don't know, I got to get me some blue clothes like that. They're very flattering.
You mean to tell me your fashion moment wasn't Samantha leaving Richards, being high off of exhaling a cab with makeup running down?
Her clothes barely on.
Right. This is pretty iconic.
This is iconic, Samantha.
Yeah. All right, Jax, what would you give this episode?
I thought this was really well done. The ending also made me cry, just looking at Charlotte's little sweet face. I would give this one, I think, a little higher than the last one. I'd probably give this one an 8.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What do you think, Bree?
Yeah, I'd say like 7.5, going a little bit higher. I don't know. It's just building. Yeah. It's just building.
Yeah. Okay. The last episode we're talking about is called Change of Address. And this we've got Charlotte trying to move on, taking tap dancing lessons. We have the return of Susan Sharon. And we have a big moment for Carrie and Aiden, of course, we'll talk about. So this episode. So it's interesting, as I was watching it. So Susan Sharon, you remember Jax, she was in that episode where they wanted her to stay with her terrible, horrible husband.
Yes.
It was so
I'm glad
weird.
we can see her now.
Yes. And so she's back for this, but I didn't realize that she's actually in And Just Like That. We missed it. It wasn't until I was looking up stuff for this episode that she is actually at Big's funeral.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. In Just
funny.
Like That. Yeah. So that was kind of fun. But she was the one with the bully husband, and they were like, oh, you shouldn't leave your husband, it's too hard to find another, was kind of the attitude of the show. And I'm like, oh,
this is one of those again that we were like, whoa, did not age well. I mean, whoa.
Yes. um, so Charlotte starts to take tap dancing lessons to try to help her to move on. She has Andre DeShields as her tap dancing teacher, which, if y'all know Hadestown, he was Hades in Hadestown for a long time. Originated the role, so that was kind of fun to see him.
Oh, I was so delighted. I saw one of his last performances of Hadestown, and I mean, he's almost 80 and just being amazing.
He was on that. He was doing that show for a long time, like 2-3 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And Hadestown is going on tour. So if I know it's coming to Utah so soon, I think. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, definitely look in your area. I bet it's coming somewhere by you. But yeah, so he's trying to get her to be part of the group and do this group T for Two number, and she flips out. She says, I don't want to go it alone. And she gets really mad and at him. And yeah, obviously it's not really about him. It's about all the other issues.
Yeah.
I think it would be incredibly hard to start again. Like, you shouldn't do what Susan Sharon does, be with a terrible person, but like, it would be extremely difficult, I think, to, like, you think everything's done, you're finished, you're done being single, you're done dating. And I think it would be especially hard if it's somebody like Charlotte, who, she's in her 30s and having this high profile of a failure. She even quit her job for him. I don't know. I can understand why she's rage tapping.
Yeah. I was proud of her. Like, look at Charlotte, like, taking the initiative to fill her time with something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, there comes a part in the class where you have to have a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see her like flip out. And like you said, it's very just, she has all of these other things going on or whatever. And there's this part of you that's like, just dance by yourself, Charlotte. Tell them you don't need a partner. But it's like, this is Charlotte York. Like, to her, she needs a partner. So
yeah. Well, so Miranda goes and gets the ultrasound, finds out she's having a boy. And Bree, as you're the only one of us that have had a child, could you relate to what Miranda is kind of going through with all of this in some way? I'm sure you were super excited for your ultrasound, but
Cynthia Nixon's acting in this season is just, I think, some of the best. It's hilarious. She's like, the nurse is like, are you happy? It's a boy. And she's like, puts on that fake smile. So I think most women go in there a little bit excited. But yeah, Miranda was not. She was not.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes with certain women, it takes a little bit of time to feel the bond with your child. I've heard that from people, that sometimes it is this just magical moment that you still, I think, love the child, but I think I've heard from some women that it takes sometimes just a little bit of getting to know them before you have that like deep spiritual experience.
Yeah. I really like that Miranda is the one that does get pregnant, and it just, I don't know, her not being excited, I think just goes to show the different ways that motherhood affects everyone. Not everybody is excited. It does take some growing into. So, I mean, it was funny moments, but I also thought like, wow, this is pretty powerful because she is a businesswoman. She's a career woman. She likes to hang out with her friends. She loves to come home and watch infomercials. This is a big change for her and not one that she necessarily wanted. So yeah, I loved that story arc for her.
And we haven't seen Magda for a long time. So that was kind of funny to see her back.
She's excited.
Yeah, she is very excited.
She was talking about a boy being the greatest blessing. And Magda, she's just lovely. That's another wonderful actor from the show that we lost recently. And she was just so great.
Yeah. So Carrie was wearing one of the weirdest outfits I've ever seen on this show.
It says a lot for what we've seen Carrie in.
Yeah. So she has this pink shirt top, and then she has it tied up so the midriff's showing. And then she has a belt on her stomach. I thought it was so weird.
Weird, yeah.
I'm like, is that something a fad I just didn't know about? Because why do you have a belt on your stomach? It looks so strange. And a green skirt. But I did like Samantha's dress a lot. She has a silver dress with like a pink black leopard print, one shoulder. It looked really good on her, I thought. But yeah, that belt was so
I
weird.
couldn't stop looking at it. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm so intrigued, and I didn't get anything answered. By the more I looked at it, the more confused I became.
Yeah.
And she had her hair up in a loose bun, but then she had this very strange headpiece on.
Like a
that
bird's
was-
nest.
Yeah, it was like thistles or something. I don't know. It was just a weird outfit.
There are the
It
occasions.
was like a thistle situation. She could have been good for like a ghost of Christmas past or future or present in Christmas Carol. That would have worked.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, and you're supposed to think that the bridal dresses are the ugliest thing in this episode, and I'm like, no, it was the weird belt. That was the ugliest thing. But they go try on these wedding dresses, and they cause Carrie to have a full-on rash all over her body. And obviously it's like psychosomatic. It's not just the dress, but but I understand Aiden here. He wants to go to Hawaii and just get married, and you know,
Rachel, he wants to get Maui.
Maui. Yeah.
Aiden, so cheesy, and I love him.
Well, and especially at the end when she's literally in a white dress.
They both
and
look
he's in
like
a
they were about
tux.
to go get married. Yeah.
And I understand that, because my personality, I just want to get things done. I even if I know I could technically take more time, I usually don't. Like, and when I went to college, I finished in 3 years, because I had already done a year of for my senior year of high school. I did a year of community college. But nevertheless, I finished. I went all through the summers, just everything, because I know that's just the way my brain works, is like, you got to get it done. Plus the fact that my brother had like squandered his opportunity going to all these different colleges. He was constantly transferring his credits and needing new requirements for each college. And he had done enough classes to pass he should have graduated, but because he went to like 6 different colleges, he didn't have enough for any one college. And so he never ended up graduating from college. And so as most of the things with me and my brother, I did the exact opposite. Like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm done. I've got my degree.
Well, I mean, I think Aiden, like, I don't doubt that he wanted to marry Carrie, but it also felt very competitive. Like, I need to prove to this big guy, if he ever pops back in the picture, that like, I'm the one you chose, because now you're married to me. So when he's kind of pushing her, it feels a little very dude bro competition to me.
Yeah, well, that's true. And she even says, like, why do you need to trust me? And then she kind of looks at herself like, oh yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
And I think he knows that she's not as invested. So that's part of the reason why he's pushing. But also I think it's his personality. He just wants to get it done. Like me, I would be the same. If I ever get engaged, it won't be long. I'll tell you that. Get it done.
Just like, how long till we can get the marriage license?
Yeah. Expect invitations quickly.
I mean, when he's like, so you need time. Do you want to wait till the end of the year? And she says, which year? I was like, okay, Aiden. Ding. You're going to be waiting for a long time.
And there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but it's certainly, you need to be on the same page with your partner about it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So We have Richard. He is he's with Judith McVeigh at the party. He's with BB London in the paper, and there's this guy JJ who's all the gossip. And I thought that was kind of funny, JJ.
Can't keep it up in the bathroom.
No, you
JJ.
can't. And so Charlotte,
Funny.
I mean, Samantha's obviously way more invested in this relationship than he is.
Yeah.
And then, and it's interesting because it's almost like it's almost like Samantha and Carrie are, that it's just interesting because Carrie has the partner who wants to be more invested, and now Samantha wants to be more invested. And usually it's the flip.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting situation. And Richard says we're not the monotonous type. And that millions of people suffer from monogamy. And so, yeah. And he thinks that she's on the same page, but obviously she's not.
Yeah.
And then we have Charlotte losing it to Andre Shields. I'm like, I wish he could be my top teacher.
Oh, I know, me too.
It kind of reminds me of my grandma, who is one of my favorite people in the world. She loved any kind of tap dancing kind of thing. Like, it was her favorite. And so her and my aunt one year signed up for tap dancing lessons, and my cute little grandma took tap dancing lessons, which I think is so fun.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they do say there are still certain life targets you are supposed to hit. Do we want these things, or are we just programmed to want these things? And I, as a single woman, I definitely have felt that. I mean, especially in the world of my religion and in my community. I mean, it is definitely expected that you're, married and have kids. And that's, I mean, who knows if I'll ever get married, but the kids part is probably not happening at 41 and unmarried. So, that is something that is challenging. And I still think even outside of conservative environments, that's still expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. That is this episode. What would you give this one, Jax?
Oh, well, I thought it was.
Oh yeah, and then obviously, Aiden and Carrie break up. I forgot to say that.
Yeah, there's a
Which is
breakup.
so sad.
Well, we were foreshadowing it the whole
Yeah.
time. We were
Yeah.
like, no.
And Miranda feels the baby kick.
Oh yeah, that was cute. That was good. And then she finally feels it, the connection. Yeah.
I think that scene where Carrie, the very final scene where Carrie goes into the other apartment and crawls down next to Aiden, and said the next day he moved out. I guess I had forgotten that was the episode, because it kind of knocked the wind out of me.
Mhm.
And it was such a tender, sweet moment to end that on, rather than some sort of explosive fight. I think I would also give this one an 8. I don't remember what's coming next, but I hope I'm not mad.
Brady is coming next. Oh, it's coming soon. And in our next episode of recaps.
Well, I like him, so that's okay.
Yeah.
I just figured it's more stuff to annoy me, because she's on my final nerve these days.
Yeah. Bree, what about you? What would you give it?
This one's a 9 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love this episode.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one, except for that terrible belt. I would give it.
And the rash.
Oh yeah. I give it 8. I'm gonna give it 8.5. I got 8.5. All right, very good. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you so much, Bree, for coming and
Thank
doing
you
this.
for having me. This was so fun.
Yes. So tell everybody where they can find you.
I am on Instagram at Bree.unabashedly, and I co-host the Categorically Romance podcast.
Great. And Jax, what about you?
At Jacqueline C Tweets on Twitter and Jacqueline Collier on Instagram.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following us at City Girls Pod on Twitter. And I try to post anytime I see anything on Sex and the City or in Just Like That, I try to post it on that Twitter. So you definitely want to be following it. And also follow Hallmarkies Podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really, really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group and merch store, and we have City Girls Pod merch. So definitely take a look at that. You'll love it. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.